that, you know, we all wanted to do something, but it was hard for us to do the thing that we normally do.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that was my message to everybody is like, we all have to do in this moment what we feel is right for us, you know?
And I think the story just told is a perfect New York story, because I think New York, people who've been here for a long time, we all have that kind of fight.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't see, I mean, no disrespect to the great musicians and great people in Japan, or anywhere else, whatever music scene that I've been to. New York musicians tend to have a creative way to always get through tough adversity. You know, the history of jazz here is filled with that, right? Coltrane and these guys created that unbelievable music in a climate, United States, well, even not much has changed now for African Americans, but back then it was a lot probably harsher, right? Rashid Ali tells me where he would play with Coltrane, and then next day he can't go in because, you know, of his skin color. To go hear about power or whatever. But as an artist, they well, you know, I don't know if they considered them artists back then, but for that, at that time, they would be able to go to the stage from the kitchen room, back row, play, leave, and then that was it. But yeah, that's great. I mean, you kind of created like an organization of worldwide players to try to, like, you know, help.
Just help each other. I mean, that was the whole thing, is that, you know, everybody is at the different levels of their career, of the world, of the, you know, whatever you want to call it, right? And we're all individuals, but we all came from something, and so it has to be like our musicians community has to be a cycle of, you know, everybody helps each other in some way, and
well, music is about that, right? Because I mean, I didn't choose to become a solo artist, right? Just classical guitar. It's the reason. Because you have that connection,
it's an
exchange. You know, you supporting each, especially jazz. You get to support each other, improvising, playing. So those kind of things kind of reflect my own human values. But man, but it's been a really tough year and a half. You know, still going on. Japan is blowing up again. So in a way, I kind of came back at the right time. Japan's going through the highest number of daily infections ever now.
Really?
Yeah, and now, when maybe the rest of the war has kind of gone down.
And what's the vaccine rate over there?
It's still very low. 80% of it, I heard, are senior citizens, but the young ones, younger people, my friend told me she's getting hers in September. Okay. The vaccine rollout has been very slow in Japan, and you know, there's many, I don't know, there's so much misinformation on the internet, right? It's very hard to see what is right, but one of the main things, they say, the government failed, but then there's others saying that, like, apparently Asians have a higher rate of, what is that, severe allergies, aphysophilia or something?
From the vaccine?
Yeah, from the vaccine. Oh, wow. Both Moderna, Pfizer, than the others. So they were a little bit, they wanted to see what the numbers really were before they started rolling out, right? I don't know. I don't know what is true now, but there's so much.
And we're going to learn a lot too. I mean, you know, there were so many people that, you know, told me not to get vaccinated because I'm a young woman. And, you know.
I mean, and the thing is, the misinformation or whatever, it's not just like, if it was Joe Schmo, fine. But I see this information written by an MD. A woman doctor says here that don't take the vaccine because it will make you magnetic. And she's a MD, right? I mean, so like...
What kind of MD?
Well, I don't know. Okay. But she's a doctor. Anyway, she went to medical school. I mean, come on, man. But
I mean, we're also, you know, living in a time where, you know, we all know that, like I was having this conversation with somebody last night. There is the truth, and no other truth than the truth when it comes to science. And somehow, many different truths are being believed by many different people, and this is because of misinformation and opinions.
Also,
opinions, you know, people are changing truth based on opinion.
Right, and also the value given to what is like truth. I mean, truth is truth. However, a person A is somebody that doesn't value truth or even have ever thought about what is the meaning of truth. might not care. So his truth will be whatever it wants to be to him. I mean, we went through 4 years of that, right? What a mess that was. I mean, family thought about leaving the U.S. at that time. I mean, but thank God, I keep my fingers crossed because they say he might come back in 3 or 4 years.
I mean, he's not gone, that's for sure. He's off of Twitter, but he's very much alive. So.
Off of Twitter. Oh man. But anyway, what's your music? What do you do up to now? You teach. Oh,
so,
I forgot. Thank you. Not thank you, but congratulations on your Grammys.
Thank you. Well, I just a nomination, didn't win. I mean,
that's pretty amazing.
So it's interesting. I'm saying this thing. You know, I didn't win the trophy, but I absolutely won. I mean, you know.
Well, of course.
Because like just to be nominated, it's just like. When I heard that, I mean, the day that I found out, and I found it in a really funny way as well, because of the whole COVID situation, everything was being announced online.
Yeah.
It was in November that they announced it. So I knew the day that they were supposed to be announcing it, and I was kind of refreshing my Twitter feed because I knew that in years past, they usually just put it up on their website. So I was refreshing the website and I was teaching at the same time. I think I was in the middle of doing some post-production on a song or something. So I was kind of like a little Pro Tools, refreshing Twitter, a little Pro Tools. And then all of a sudden I saw 3 missed calls from Nicole Zaritis, who is, you know, one of my really good friends here in New York and great singer-songwriter. And all of a sudden I answered and she's screaming on the phone and she said, I knew it. And I was like, what? So she told me, which was really nice because when she got nominated a couple of years back, I was the one that told her. So it was like a really nice, she was nominated for Best Arrangement.
Well, man,
so
you know.
it was amazing. And Antonio, my husband, who's an amazing drummer, he was in the studio in our house doing an Instagram live, you know, one of those COVID things. They was doing an Instagram takeover, they call it, of the drum channel page. I don't know. It was basically he was talking to a bunch of drummers all day and showing them the drums and that. And I knew that he was in the middle of this thing. And so whenever either of us know, you know, we know that the other one is doing something, we never intervene or bother. You know, we know that the other one's working. So, and I just couldn't hold it in. So I ran down to the studio and opened the door, and he looked like he was gonna throw a cymbal at my head. It was like, yes, how can I help you? And then I was just, you know, like, oh my God. And it was just a very...
Well, it's fantastic, man. It's especially it's like a independent record.
Independently released, no label, no distribution. Yeah. That to me feels like the biggest win of all, because this record was an uphill battle from the very beginning. From, I raised the money with a now defunct platform called Pledge Music, and they stole the money, went into liquidation. It was a whole thing. So from the very beginning, it was difficult. And then I did it all myself. I did the post-production, I did the editing, a lot of help from Antonio. He co-produced it with me. But then I had this finished product that I was really proud of, and I had a thought out story. I had the entire visual audio persona of the project that I knew that I wanted to present to the world, and then I said, surely a label will dig it. Nobody wanted it, and in the end I got some offers that were subpar, and I just, as a basic, after financing the thing myself, you do all your records.
I don't want to give it to anybody after my artwork.
So I was like, man, I'm not gonna. I didn't finance the whole thing and spend 2.5 years working on this just so that you can take it
and make all
charge
the money.
me for your CDs and then give me 10% of royalties. No way.
10% is high.
So I just decided to, I want to own all my stuff. I want to be the owner of my.
And if I don't make it in my lifetime, I could give it to my son.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that was the decision, and it was a great decision.
So while we're talking about her great record, tell the audience what the title is.
The title is called Ona. It's O-N-A, and it means she, woman, in Croatian. And I'm from Croatia. And the album is essentially a woman's empowerment record. It's about you know, all the thing that encompasses being a woman in today's society. And it starts from a very personal part of, you know, it was inspired by the immigrant women in my family, the Croatian American women in my family. And then it slowly, through the songs, it kind of expands out and gives a picture of what it is to be a woman in contemporary society.
And where could they get this Grammy-nominated
The album is available on my Bandcamp page, also on my website. Those are the only two places that you can buy the physical copies. And then, you know, you can purchase it on iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify and Deezer and all of that stuff.
Great. And I want to say something because you're on 4 of my albums. I'm extremely proud of these records.
They're beautiful records.
We did Fractal Attraction in 2013, released 2013. We did Eternal Monument together in 2015.
Yeah.
Absurdist Theater was one of my favorites. 2000 came out 2016. Wow, within a year. And our last one together called Apotheosis, late 2018. And I wanted to do one in 2019, but you know,
but then
COVID.
So,
but
they're beautiful records.
Yeah, all original music. Thana sings beautifully on, and she also writes the lyrics on like the songs that have them. And she plays like a great instrumentalist musician. And it's available on Bandcamp now. Too bad CD Baby kind of disappeared. Because that was a big one for me.
I mean, I released my music on CD Baby, but I sell only the physical stuff on Bandcamp and my website.
So they're on Bandcamp, you know. But if anybody's interested, really, if you just search Thana Alexa or Gene Ess on Google, more information than you ever even want to see will pop up. So you know, but please don't go to like page 65. There might be photos of me in jail.
Just the first 2 pages.
Some funny photos of me from who knows where, right? See, so much has happened over the years of like privacy and stuff like that. It's like you search Thana Alexa on Google and come on, 1,000 photos? Where do they come from? Who puts them? You know, I mean, there's some official ones, right?
Some
That's
official,
cool.
But there are a lot. You know, people just kind of use your likeness,
and you can't chase after. You
can't chase after everybody.
But
I hope that you guys will enjoy the music and you know, just you know, keep doing what you do as well, and just
for everybody, you know, for the listeners. I know like a lot of there's some young listeners, or I'm saying young because you're still very young, but musicians perhaps early 20s trying out to.
Yeah, this was a hard year for a lot of.
So here's a question. Like,
yeah,
a 20-year-old musician, somewhere with Tokyo, anywhere, London, you know, somebody like from Croatia, or even me, originally from Japan. Is New York a still viable town to try to come to as a goal, as if you want to become a great musician in any genre, really?
I think you and I both know that to live in New York, it requires a very specific type of person.
Right.
Not everybody flourishes here.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good place to visit and experience. To live here, some people fight through the hustle and they, you know, achieve greatness, and other people, it just kind of swallows them up. And I think there's no shame or blame in that. You know, it's become an even more difficult place to live than before. I do think it's an important place to come to and do research, play with as many people as you can. You know, if you live here for 6 months or a year, you know, just to have that experience. But, you know, to rough it out for 15 years in New York just because everybody says you're supposed to be in New York. I've seen through many different people with different personalities that a lot of people learn a lot from being in New York for a short period of time, and then they take that knowledge and they go somewhere else and they have a very happy and good and successful life. And it also depends on what what you say is successful.
Right,
What
and
is
also
success?
depending on what part of life you're at, right?
Exactly.
If you're older, for younger people, when I'm asked that question in Japan, I say, well, yeah, it's the ones that mostly in the jazz genre, but New York is where most of the great jazz started here, and so I always say, look, you should definitely come here. Bring some money, take some lessons from some of the great players here. You're not just showing your instrument.
Yeah.
Some of the best music stuff I learned from a pianist and saxophone, but do that and kind of find out. Yeah. Right? It's one thing to have money come here and be a tourist. That's a wonderful experience, but to come here, set up shop, be ready for the commute, the rent, whatever it is, right? It ain't no.
It's hard.
Cakewalk. It's one of the hardest things I've done, and I did this in the early '90s. I guess with all the internet, so much networking, it's much easier to connect, right? But I was away in Japan. I didn't feel like I was that far away from the family, but I wonder, there's far less venues I hear for jazz here than it ever was. I did an interview for Jazz Life while I was there in Japan, and the guy asked me, how many jazz clubs do you think is in Tokyo, right? And
thousands.
I said, well, no. Because I said, first he asked me how many were in New York. And I said, well, New York, maybe 6 big ones, and I don't know, including the smaller ones, so 15, 20 venues, maybe?
That much?
I don't know, maybe even less,
maybe even
right?
Less.
Jazz Standard closed, no?
Yeah.
So, and then I said, how many do you think is in Tokyo? And I was kind of newly in Tokyo, I had no idea. I said, like, double that, 40? And he said, no, there's 276. And he said, from small to big. Yeah. And every single one have live music every day. And he said, granted, some are very small, all the way up to like Blue Notes and stuff, but he said they don't close. The average over the years, it stays pretty consistent, meaning that there are listeners that go there, right? Granted, it's certainly not the most easy music to bring a lot of crowd to in jazz. Even like if you're well known and popular, depends on the day, depends on the weather, whatever. But it's consistently there. And like if some of the there's a lot of American musicians living in Tokyo now, like Gene and Kaito, and this guy just moved from here, great pianist, David Bryant. They used to play smalls a lot with I forgot that well-known avant-garde saxophone player, like a legendary dude. Anyway, they all moved there, and if we want, we can play every day somewhere. Because they need musicians. Because there's so many venues.
It's like the opposite.
Here. Now there's like.
It's like where do we play?
Yeah, Lehman told me. He said he's been here from the '60s, and he said, "Oh, since I've been here, Lehman, there's always 1,000 on average amazing, great jazz musicians. 1,000." And he said, out of 1,000, about 100 of them are sort of on the genius level. Nowhere else in the world. He's been everywhere, so nowhere else in the world is like that. But there's only like 5.
There's definitely a concentration. There's a concentration
around the world.
Which is why I think it's an important place for anybody that wants to be in this music to experience. It's just you have to come here and suss it out. You have to decide based on what's best for you. Once you've had that experience, whether you want to continue with it or whether you say, I've had my fill, I've learned what I need to learn, and now I need to go somewhere else. Because there are
all legit, man. Sometimes I think I was talking with Julia. I was like, man, the only reason why I'm still here is for me, the music. After 20 or 30 years here, maybe the music, getting to meet people like you over the years, Bruce Cox, even like all these Clarence Pan, Yasushi. That'll never happen in Tokyo, right? There are great musicians there, or even London or even in Spain when I was living in Spain for a little time years back. The level here, there's always great musicians anywhere in the world, but the people here, the concentrated amount of genius kind of things, and the energy and the fight to do something about it is what's very attractive to me.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the New York hustle. You know, when you are in a place where you know there's hundreds of really good musicians who are really hungry, it makes you pull something out of yourself. That you know, you try to be the best musician that you can be.
Right.
That's why it's like, you know, when we go to, you know, we just taught a workshop in Mexico City to really like the top musicians in Mexico in jazz right now. And there's some really talented people.
Yeah, everywhere.
But we're saying, you know, you have to put yourself in situations where the musicians on stage are better than you.
That's right, exactly.
Do you know how much I learned playing in your group, singing in your group?
Thank you.
Because everybody was better than me. And I had to step up.
Yeah.
You know, you can practice hundreds and thousands of hours by yourself in the practice room or with your peers and feel like, you know, I'm tough, you know, I'm hot shit. But unless you really are, you are in the presence of people who are really, really much better than you, it helps you reach for something inside of yourself that you didn't know was there.
It's probably the best way to improve yourself, to surround yourself with more experienced and better musicians. In New York, it's very, you know, it's not that hard to do. And because there's so many of them, if you come here at 20 years old, you're young.
If you put yourself in, you know, there are a lot of people that come to New York and then they still stay in their safe havens.
Right.
So, you know, you've got to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations.
They need to realize maybe New York is not a place for them. What I've found, the people that's been able to stay here for years and years, many different kinds of people, right? Some are crazy, some are sane, some are nice, some are mean, some are narcissistic, many kind of people. But one thing that I've always noticed, that the people that stick it out, they're here for 22 decades, 3 decades, is that they do have that core strength within, and a belief of their own music to a certain extent.
Yeah, you have to believe.
You have to, because if you don't, or so if you're young, but so many young people, they probably don't know. So that's why I say you should come here, test it out, see if you're that kind of person or not. And if you're not, that's okay. Not everybody needs to be a mean motherfucker, right? Go back to Tokyo, you know, enjoy a beautiful, I mean, come on, man, no violence, the food is great, people are friendly, everything works there.
Sign me up.
Okay, I'm like, it's like, Julie,
let's go.
Leo's going to college, sell this place. Go there or south of Spain or something. You know?
Oh, maybe we'll meet up in Spain.
Yeah.
It looks like that's where we might go.
Yeah, south of Spain, and just, you know, I'm not 20 anymore, so I can, you know, kind of end my kind of like, what do you call, retirement age. I still have a long way to go to retirement, but let's say you hit 65s. Or is the retirement age now 64 is it? 75 is the new 55, whatever they say it is, right? Okay, so let's say you hit 70. But music is not like a sport where you can like.
You don't really retire from music. I mean, look at Roy Haynes, man. 96.
Right, and he still can play, right? Sonny Rollins, Bruce Cox used to play with Sonny Rollins. We talked about Sonny Rollins a bit on the first episode, but Sonny Rollins is up there too, 80. Yeah, unfortunately, he has some health issues where he couldn't play the saxophone anymore, you know.
I mean, but we all get older. But this is also, I feel like, for a lot of young musicians, just see as many people as you can. Like, see as many musicians. If they come to town, if they come to your hometown, if they come to your country, go and see them, because we don't know how much longer anybody's going to be around, you know?
Yeah, especially the masters, right? I mean, the greats. I regret that I never got to hear Miles in person, because when I had the opportunity, I was still very young, and I didn't have the money to go to his concerts because he was a star, and it was like $100 to get into wherever, right? He was playing. He wasn't playing little clubs. Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, when he came to Boston when I was a student, I forgot where he played at. I mean, Matt and I wanted to go, but Matt being a Garrison, we couldn't get in there. But now,
just go see as many people as you can.
Right, there's you know.
So many.
And as we say that, I'm reaching that age that you guys should come see me.
Exactly, go see Gene.
I'm getting to I was like, wow, man, I'm still talking like a 20-year-old in reality.
But that's the most beautiful thing about music, is that like we're always learning, you know. It's like I still want to see the greats just as much as you want to see the greats. And it's not because, you know, you see them once and you don't ever want to see them again. No, it's because like every time you learn something, and as you develop as an artist, you also, you know, you just want to keep learning. I feel like we're never really done, you know.
Music is a lifelong process. I think it's a journey, really. It's a beautiful, you know,
it's a life, you know.
Life journey. And I know it's, you know, we talked some of the difficulties of being, but let's, before we finish up, we have like 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's talk about how grateful or what an incredible life it is to be what we do, full-time artists, musicians, in spite of what the world is going, you know, the horrific reality that lays out as you walk outside. The fact that we're able to do this, take a journey, create something and contribute something. In the end, when everything is said and done, you know, the gig and all that's counted or whatever, medals, you know, that kind of little things, whatever.
When you,
it's like the process, the journey, and you're like, wow. And then I contribute to some beautiful things.
Exactly, and then you have music that will live far beyond your physical life will, you know what I mean? It's just that music is a human connector, and we're so fortunate that we speak that language.
Which song was
universal connection.
I got an email not too long ago about Dehala Kepase from New Zealand.
Really?
Somebody, and said the song really, for this person, for him, helped him get over really, well, self-harming thoughts.
Wow. So
that was very touching, you know. And music is a healing thing, right? I mean, for me, music has healed more than any books or any, what do you call it? Education or things around me, right? In my life, music has healed me.
It's a therapy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also a reason that we missed it so much in the pandemic, you know, because when we think about it, you know, that's something, there's some kind of like a cleansing therapeutic experience that we have every time we play with other musicians, and we create this beautiful conversation through the language of music.
Sort of it is self-healing for me, but for others too, who have the soul to be able to bring that beauty and healingness inside themselves. I think it was Ornette Coleman that said, when he was, you know, what do you think about the music business, entertainer? He goes, well, I'm not an entertainer, I'm a healer. And entertainment's not really my thing, which is kind of, you know, I guess a jazz musician kind of thing to say.
But there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah,
too,
there is.
You know?
I mean, it certainly is entertainment. But at the same time, it's something like, for me, like Keith Jarrett's music, Coltrane's music. I think I wouldn't have made it mentally if that music didn't come into my life. It really, it's really saved me, and has allowed me to do what I really truly love, and also not to give up what I truly love, because there are moments in my life, like I'm sure you and any artist, that you're like, so I should have been accountant or engineer. You know, I'm very good with electronics. You know, I'm able to kind of easily make apps and stuff. So I was like, should have been that, but it's not satisfying to me in the long run. Yeah, it's fun for 1 or 2 hours, you know, it's like, oh, cool, but music is a challenge, it's a lifelong journey, and I'll never regret it.
No. I mean,
and I'm sure you won't either.
No.
Well, you've done so great over the short years you've been, I mean, I've never seen anything like that, because we met in 2012 or so, and it's not even 10 years, it's 9 years. And you went from that, perhaps nobody knew you, right? Or you wasn't really working.
Yeah.
And within 9 years, you've been able to move forward this
Hustled.
much. So
it's been a lot of work, but also
I'm sure it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of heart and a lot of dedication. But it's also.
But you're also very smart, and I've noticed that you're very smart, and you also do your homework, and you're very driven. So those are the characteristics. And it's also, you know, you in a business that's mostly men, right? Yeah. I mean, gatekeepers.
Yeah. But it's also, you know, I can't deny the fact that there's something about timing that's very important, I think, and somehow certain things, specifically in this last year, as messed up as things were, some things fell in their place at the right time.
So you're saying nothing is a coincidence? Maybe it's meant to be.
Maybe it's meant to be.
Yeah.
You know,
some people.
And I mean, I struggled for long time. You remember the days where I had no gigs. I mean,
I still have any gigs. That doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
Matter of fact, I don't want to do these gigs. Some of the gigs here.
But that's another thing. Is that that's another thing that I think the pandemic, at least for me, really solidified. Is I kind of know what I do and don't want to do, and that's liberating in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a really powerful thing that comes from knowing what you don't want.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's man, philosophy. All right, so
thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, this got kind of longer than I thought. So we're gonna split this into 2 episodes because each episode is a half an hour.
Ah, got it.
So
we broke all the rules.
We broke all. Well, it's so fun. I haven't seen you in ages.
I know.
And it's just so fun to talk. Oh, we've done a lot of. I mean, I think you're the one person aside from maybe Rashid Ali. I've done more music with you because we've done 4 records.
We've done a lot of music.
Right. I mean, I don't have 4 records with the same kind of people that you use. So sort of a constant. And I hope I can continue with Fractal Attraction once the pandemic shows out, right? So we can get into the studio and in order for me to do that, I've been wanting to incorporate my electronic stuff,
Ooh, yeah.
the Pro Tools and stuff.
Mm-hmm.